Welcome back. It's still the AfroGamer show. My name is Shayo, your regular host. And like I told you, we've got someone in the house. He's been holding it down. When I heard how long he's been in the game, I'm like, was I in primary school? Or I was considering it, but it's great to always have, amazing people in the industry join us on the show. Michael Oscar Esiu.
Yeah.
Got it right. Is the co-founder, Africa Comicade. Man of many means, is the one connecting the dots when you talk about game developers and giving them opportunities. And we'll talk about all that on the show today. I hope time will permit, because the truth is, if we're going to delve into it, time may not permit. Well, it's great to have you on the show, Oscar.
Same here. A pleasure.
It's great to have you. First things first, let's talk about your journey. When did it start? How did it start? And why gaming? Why not fintech? Why not where there's money, by the way, lots of investment? Why not something else? But you chose game tech, if we can call it that.
Yeah. Well, it started from a very young age. I've always loved games. I love animation, cartoons, right? And I loved playing games as well back then, though it was beaten out of me. Severely.
We all did.
Yeah, so I had the Sega back then. I had the Game Boy. I also had these DVD players that
Yeah.
And but then when I was doing my internship way back, I think that was 2014, I went to a tech firm in Lagos, at Ogba Ikeja, for an IT placement, and that's where I found out they were building games there. And I was like, wow, so if this is possible. Because up till then, I did not think it was possible. I studied computer science, but there was nothing game development and all. It was just
CPU and keyboard.
Learning Fortran and basic and irrelevant stuff.
Yeah.
And then I found out I could build games myself, and that was mind-blowing. And since I had that passion for games, animation, comics, I was quite a collector growing up. So I immediately delved into it. I started learning how to build games. I started game development with Construct, then quickly moved on to Unity. Back then, Unity was still supporting JavaScript. So
that was the popular one. I remember JavaScript.
So I started learning how to code with Unity and JavaScript. But then my role in that organization also evolved. So because I was, should I say, curious and very willing to work.
That's why I called you man of many means. Man of many means.
Very willing to work. I also delved a little into animation, played with Blender, worked with iClone for fast production. I moved into embedded systems as well. So I did a little bit of IoT, Raspberry Pi, I did PCIs. But then I came back to games.
Which is the first love.
Yes. And why games is because games are, before anything, they're a powerful medium, right? They have that potential of immersing people in that unique experience. And beyond entertainment, you can use it for so much more.
As we've seen.
I also, through my journey of learning, came to realize that what is really missing in our industry is that fragmentation of all sectors. Out there, the games industry is quite in the middle of movie, of music, of films. If you are doing virtual production, you can use game engines for that. And so many more things, visualization, simulations, game engines are used for that. So it's not just entertainment for me. We are in an industry that we can use for many things across several sectors. But in the past, we've been fragmented, we've been quiet. Most people don't know they are game developers. But now it's time to come to the fore and see how we can connect.
Definitely. You said something now. You said it's not just about games, it's about the many other things. And I was going to say that if I had a pen too, you just gave me, it was a short master class I should have been taking notes for. So great stuff. Let's now talk about Africa Comicade, because you guys have done amazing stuff.
Thank you.
Remember when Ife, who is the co-producer of this show, told me about Africa Comicade, and he started showing me the things you were doing with your partner then, Chosin. And I was like, okay, where are these guys going? And I saw, the growth right up until this point. Tell us about Africa Comicade. How did that journey start before we delve into talking about Gameathon 2024?
Yes, so this is actually my 10th year. It's a decade in the games industry. I joined 2014. And I think I moved on from building games to teaching people how to build games. Games
Yeah.
first data. Then I was also running community as well. We used to organize the Global Game Jam in Lagos. We used to
Okay.
have a jam site. Yeah, but what quickly happened from 2015, 16, 17 was that a bulk of people were leaving the sector to go look for real
Where the
jobs.
money is. Where the money
If we
is.
can, that's what they call it, real jobs. Because at some point, passion is not going to pay you anymore.
Definitely.
And there are not a lot of game studios employing, recruiting, nor are there a lot of game project opportunities out there for people
True.
to jump on.
True.
And I was teaching people how to build games. I was running a community, but then it was thinning. So that was because there was no opportunity, there was no career pathway.
Yeah.
And prior to this time, I really hated the concept of business. But like I said, it's been a thing of gradual development because I came to realize that business is at the core of any industry.
It
Whatever
is.
you create, if you are not able to generate something from it,
Yeah.
you're really just wasting your time and you will eventually burn out or run out.
True.
So what eventually happened was I quit my job, took a break to find out what next. Because that was the questions the student I was teaching, people in the community were asking me, and I didn't have an answer.
Yeah.
And luckily for me, I was among the 53 people that got into MEST Africa.
Okay.
That's, how do I put it? It's a software entrepreneurship school for people from across Africa, where you go through a one-year program, you learn business, tech, comms, and all.
All together.
And in that experience in Ghana, I was living with 53 people from 13 different African countries. And I learned
For
a lot
a year?
about, yeah, for a year. I learned a lot about the business side. I got access to these various markets.
Yeah.
My mind and my dreams basically expanded.
Expanded, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was planning a comeback. Of course, during that period, I had also gone into like the normal startup space. So I had a tea startup.
Okay.
I was doing
Tea as in
e-commerce.
tea?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
That's why I have the Kenyan brand. Yeah. So I was working with KTDA in Kenya, albeit virtually.
Okay.
I was running an e-commerce store as well in Ghana. So I was like into that startup life and
Yeah.
all. And then Tosin and Adewale reached out to me during the pandemic that, hey, we want to organize a game jam. And we know you've been organizing game jams years before we joined the sector.
Yeah.
So how about we do something in this pandemic because everybody's at home and people are getting depressed and all.
True that.
And I was like, okay, yes, we're going to do, they called it a COVID game jam. That was the flyer they sent to me. And I was like, well,
Interesting.
this is like just perfect timing because I was already working on something.
Mhm.
So it's not going to be just any other game jam. It's
Yeah.
going to be way more. And we rebranded it to Gamerton. We came up with the brand name Africa Comicade, which basically means Africa and comic and arcade. Arcade
Okay.
being a place you see many
Oh,
things.
okay. So this is the first time. Breaking news. That's the first time I'm even confirming what it means. So
Yeah.
great stuff.
So a comic arcade in Africa where you have many things, games, animation,
Yeah.
immersive and interactive media. That's your XR, which is what we do as well. And yeah, so we started off with a Pan-African game jam. 2020 in the heart of the pandemic. Many people did not believe people would join. And it was also our first time reaching out to the entire of Africa. It was also the first time the entire of Africa was coming together to do something.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of our biggest game jams actually. Yeah.
Albeit virtual.
Yes.
And that's good stuff.
virtually.
That's good stuff.
And it was really amazing. We had people from about 15 Africa countries join. We had about 20 games developed in a span of 1 week.
Wow.
And it was supposed to be a 1 week jam, but then it expanded to 2 weeks because then we had to play test the games.
Yeah.
And then we had speakers come to speak to these people from outside the continent, which was also exciting. And after that, we had just started something, and we had started building.
From there. Great stuff. And that building has landed us on the 5th edition Gameathon 2024, which is, like I said, the main reason why we're here. Let's talk about that. What's the scope? What's the expectation? Where is it happening?
Yeah.
You know, everything. Give us the full lowdown. Let's get excited even before it starts. The date it starts and all that.
Yeah. So the Gamerton is a hybrid convention that brings together all the stakeholders in games, animation, comics, and XR within and outside the continent. And it has already started. So it has moved from a 2 weeks to like a 3 week celebration.
Okay.
It starts off with a game jam. Game jams are like hackathons for game developers.
developers.
So it allows them to try out those skills they claim they have. And also it's an opportunity for them to collaborate with one another on projects. It also helps build community, it helps build skill sets. And you can even build your portfolio through that. And in the past, we've had some people build games during jams that they moved on to make as commercial projects. So it's a good time to experiment. And that started last week. The jam will be ending this weekend. So it's running for 2 weeks.
Cool.
And then we have the main physical activity and some other side activities along. Say, for example, starting from tomorrow, we're having the digital fashion masterclass, where Adiat, a professional in the space, actually came down. She was in Nigeria as well for years, and then she moved on to the UK to practice digital fashion. So you're creating digital clothes for virtual experiences. She works with Puma and Adidas.
Good stuff.
And now that she has something thriving, she came back in during this period since we're having the convention to actually empower other people with those skills.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
And that will run for 2 days.
Shout out to Adia. Adia, right?
Yes, Adia. And that will run for 2 days. And after that, they are going to showcase at the main week, which starts next week, September 30th to October 5. So we have about, it's bigger than ever. We have about 20 delegates from outside Nigeria flying in for this year's event.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So we are really, it used to be more virtual because, you know, travel is expensive.
True.
But we are growing and more people are coming in to have that physical experience. Within Nigeria as well, a lot of the communities from outside Lagos, because we have game development communities that have now spun up and grown. The OAU IFE community is one of the biggest. Then you have the South owned by Gameverse Africa. So they are all also coming in. So it's going to be a really full house.
Great. Great stuff. Great stuff.
And so every day has a different activity. The first day you have the press conference. And then there's a little bit of visits to some government stakeholders. On the Tuesday, there's going to be the Lagos City tour, especially for the delegates from outside. Yes, so it's Independence Day, and we're going to take the delegates to see the beautiful city of Lagos.
Yeah. It's nice. Traffic won't be much. It's a good timing.
Yeah, it's a good timing. And in the night, there's going to be the delegates dinner where they'll be having one-on-one private meetings. There's going to be a design thinking workshop because now we have everybody together. We're not just coming to have fun. We're coming to discuss business. How can we move this industry forward? So we'll be reaching out to stakeholders within Lagos to come meet the others, and we have that think tank. Then on Wednesday, we have the studio tours. So we'll be visiting a couple of studios. On Wednesday, we'll do mainland studio tour. Thursday, there's going to be the Island studio tours. And on Wednesday as well, in the afternoon, after the mainland tour, there's a series of workshops. There are about 4 workshops around gamification, game design, and much more, which is open not just to game developers, especially the gamification one. That's run by Zanoza. And so it's an opportunity for brands to see how they can bring the principles of gamification into their product or even into their workflow.
Shout out to Susan.
Yeah, shout out to Susan. They are spearheading this, and I'm really excited.
So Friday, Saturday?
Friday is the main day. That's the industry day. There's going to be a pitch competition and showcase and gaming tournaments and more. And Saturday is the after party, where we party at Creative Block, Mario Koala Park.
Fantastic. So there you have it. That's the full load Monday till Friday. Of course, you can follow Africa Comicade on all social media platforms to get all the gist, get all the updates, and it definitely promises to be exciting. What makes this year, yes, you've talked about the number of delegates, you've talked about how big it is, but what makes this year bigger than all that's been done before now, which is a testament to the growth of Gamerthon?
Yeah, I think it's the approach to the industry we're taking. The theme for this year is Thrive. And last year it was Pathways. We were looking at how can we make money.
Where the road?
Yeah, where is the road? And I think we've been able to make a lot of progress. We have a program called the ARC Fellowship, where the game studios that pitch, they actually go into a pre-accelerator to learn about the business. And just this week, we realized when we did like a recap that in that group of 20 studios we're working with, from last year's Gamerthon to this year, they've collectively raised $200,000.
Whoa, okay. Not bad.
Not bad.
Because you would not have thought. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah,
not bad.
$200,000.
So the potentials are there.
So the potential is there. We've also found new opportunities that beyond entertainment, we can go into EdTech. and build sustainable businesses that have recurring revenue, which is very important.
True.
We can go into media as well. There's now what we call gaming audience for brands to tap into.
Yeah.
So that
Like
is what
the
we are
AfroGamer show too.
Exactly. So that is what we are coming to discuss this year. We are much
stuff.
more. When we started, we were passionate people. But now we are
It's
business people.
profitability. That's the way to go, man.
Yeah.
Turn passion to profit, and that's exactly the way to go. Thank you so much, Oscar, for joining. We definitely will be there. Ife will be in town from his base, and we definitely will storm the yard with the Mobile crew. It's been a great time talking to Oscar Michael Oscar Isio, the co-founder Africa Comicade, and we've been talking about the Gameathon 2024 happening all week long and ending with the Creative Block Carnival on Saturday at Muriel Kola Park. What time is that?
And that starts by 10.
10 a.m. So 10 a.m. Saturday 5th, and that's where the gaming competition is happening also.
Yes, but there will be a gaming competition on the Friday.
On Friday also.
Yes.
So there will be lots of fun, lots of action, lots of prizes. I had him calling some millions, but I don't want to reveal it. Off air, he was calling millions, so you can come and play to win some millions. Thank you so much, Oscar.